to be too much working in the business and not on the business. When you end up doing the work and you don't learn about how to improve the business itself, you also don't see things that are more important. You're just shutting down fires in many cases. As a business owner, learning should be a day-to-day activity. Learning about business, learning about people, relationships, all these things gives perspective, brings compassion, brings skills that are necessary to reassess where you are at right now, where you want to go, and what's really in a way to get you there.
Welcome to How We Grow, an essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business with advice and insights from the best in the biz, with your host, Linnell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show. I'm Linnell Gordon, your host, and today we're joined by Sébastien Grosjean. He is the CEO and founder of Smiley. He's a longtime pioneer in the short-term rental industry with more than 20 years of expertise and family legacy that spans over 4 decades. Sébastien launched the industry's first channel manager, and let me just say, that was a huge feat. That was no small deal. It was huge. And it helped define, guys, how professional operators scale their business. He's a property owner himself. He's a longtime advisor to Booking.com. He is also the recipient of 3 innovation awards that I need to ask him about. But he brings a practical and global perspective to business as a whole. That's really important, especially as AI, automation, and integrated operations, they continue to rise. So 2026 is going to be big about that. So thank you so much, Sébastien, for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Lionel, and thank you, everyone, for listening.
So tell me about the Innovation Awards. That's fabulous.
So in 2025, we did 3 world-first innovation. But before I get into these innovations, I want to share about why we went there. Because we don't build product just for the sake of building product. We build them to solve problems. And as you briefly mentioned in the intro, and thank you for that beautiful introduction, my family do short-term rentals for over 4 decades right now. And so the model is buy lands, build properties, rent them, and sometimes sell them, keep them under management or not. So it spans across 3 different locations, 2 in France, 1 in Greece. 100 properties that has been built. We're building 10 more right now in Greece. And so it gives us a bit of perspective on all the different aspects of the short-term rental business. And also myself, it's my day-to-day for over 2 decades right now. And so one of the things we realize is that in all the amount of things we have to do, there's some low-hanging fruit that are often underestimated, which is just the quality of listings. And it will speak differently to different currencies, but do you have any idea what that represents?
500 euros?
That's 500 euros, exactly. That's in average the amount that is literally burned every month per listing.
Oh, guys, if you're listening on the podcast and you're not doing video, you are missing out. You should see he's burning money. That's a word picture, guys. It's a word picture. You're leaving it on the table. You're burning it. It's not here.
A listing in US in average is burning this $500, 500 euros every month. And that is impacting 90% of listings, not only from the private owners that don't take care of it, but also from professional listings. 90% are affected by that. And it's basically because the photos, the order of photos, or the text is not optimized as much as it could be. And so the first innovation we did back in March that we launched is with a lot of AI, and thank you for these AI tools to bring us there, is to audit a listing. And we can analyze up to 10 years of historical data to understand who exactly is your ideal customer. So we look at the booking patterns, how much they pay, how much ahead they booked it, but also the reviews they left to understand the experience that they really experienced within your property. The keywords they used. And when we use this with all the amount of data of every single booking, every single review, we are able to have a very deep understanding about who is the best customers for your property. And we also do the reverse analysis to understand your anti-avatar, the people that are actually not the most satisfied. And when we have this knowledge, we can recommend what is better to do. Things need to adapt based on who is the customer of that property. And so it can be the order photos, it can be the photos, it's the text for sure. But yeah, speaking with head of Verbo in Europe, told us 90% of listing under optimized. From our own analytics, it's 91% technically. Speaking with professional revenue managers, they tell us there's 10 to 20% of revenue that is lost just because of this, without even touching price, just photos and description.
Tell me what's wrong in Germany, even in France, okay, that they will not put in their listing. Yes, there's an elevator. And I can't even search for an elevator on Airbnb. And I'm like, I carry heavy equipment with us when we travel. My husband's a Hebrew scholar. We travel for him. I have so much equipment. Like I've got tons of equipment sitting out here. We build electronics, but we always have a lot of equipment. And that makes a difference when I'm lugging it up the stairs. And you're right. I had two people, because I always ask, do you have an elevator? Because that's important to me. We have 5 pieces of luggage that we carry, and they're 2 regular, the other are big, always. And it's not because we're heavy packers, it's because we carry all this equipment around. So I think to myself, am I the only one that has this issue?
No, you're not. And this is a challenge. In my understanding of the vacation rental industry through pretty much all of my life, as you understood, is we get so busy in so many things. And that's what I see through my different businesses, the ones that I founded, co-founded, invested in. There's so much to deal with. Being able to actually identify the most important thing or the low-hanging fruits is a challenge. Most people get caught up with the fires, but it's not because it's urgent that it's important.
That's true.
And sometimes you have to accept that problems are normal. Some problems do not need to get solved. Some problems can wait. And some things that might not look like a problem are actually the biggest needle mover. And so improving your listing, so it's very clear that you have an elevator. And I would say it has to be in the description, yet Airbnb tell us only 20% of people click on the show more of the description.
It's not because they're not interested. It's because it's in a way, it's below the fold. Remember back when it was such a big deal? It's not so much a big deal today, but that's because they don't know it's there. I think it's fascinating to me that we have so many, and you're thinking about, talking about Europe. So in Europe, we have so many fabulous, incredibly old, stunning buildings, stunning. It may or may not have been renovated. It's still a fabulous place to stay. But the elevator part is huge. I mean, it's huge. You think about it, especially because what most people that come over from America don't understand, there is a floor 0. So I'm sorry, if it's on the first floor, you're going up. It doesn't matter. And people don't realize that unless they travel a whole bunch. This is just so incredible to me. You have built or co-founded 14 businesses. That's a lot. That's a huge amount. Tell me the biggest mistakes that property managers make business-wise when they build their business, Sébastien. And I'm sorry, I butcher every French word. I know Spanish. I know a little Hebrew. I don't know French, so forgive me.
It's great. Thank you. It's all fine. Biggest mistake. Wow. I share 2. And they are from my own experience and observation. They are not absolute. I think one is ego. And it's a funny thing. And it's a paradox. Because I believe if we didn't have ego, we would not even go and be crazy to start a business. Because that ego is somehow the thing that tell you, oh, I can do better than someone else. And that's why you usually start businesses in many ways, is because you believe you can do better than something else and get paid for that, so you can make a business out of it. It can be a lot of other motivation, which is to take care of your family, to be able to provide as much value as you can, for sure. But if you don't have that perception that you can do better than someone else and get paid for it, it would not run anyway. You might do a charity work or other ways to get there. Yet, too much ego is also what prevents you to see what is critical to be seen, I would say. That's your blind spot. And that's what makes collaboration difficult. That's what makes really listening difficult or impossible. It brings too much filters. And so, yes, it's needed to get started, but I think it becomes very much your biggest enemy.
Because you stop listening. And you stop listening to your customer and think, I was reminded of that this morning. My husband is testing some software that I helped write this week. And I kept saying to him, no, we need to do this. And he looked at me and he said, no, it has to be this. And I was like, okay. And I had to stop and I thought, you know what? I know a lot about software development, but he's the one using this. And so I need to listen more. So I agree. I think that we have to catch ourselves though in recognizing the fact that even though we have built this amazing property management company and we have someone that comes in and suggests something, I think that learning to listen more to our guests and what they're saying and not just saying, oh, that's just normal. When we normalize complaints of our guests, that's exactly what you're saying. You lose revenue share there.
Yeah, I want to bring a second one as well that I think is very important, is to be too much working in the business and not on the business. And so to clarify this is when you end up doing the work and you don't learn about how to improve the business itself, you also don't see things that are more important, that are more necessary. You're just shutting down fires in many cases, or working on things that makes you feel good or this kind of stuff, but not necessarily what's really important for the business itself. And it takes work. And we briefly talked about this before. That's why, for me, I have these books behind it. It's a reminder of why it's so important to keep learning. As a business owner, learning should be a day-to-day activity, and learning about business, learning about people, relationships. I mean, for me, spirituality is a part of it. All these things are complementary to one another, gives perspective, brings compassion, brings skills that are necessary, to reassess where you are at right now, where you want to go, and what's really in a way to get you there. It's like a GPS. If on your GPS you are not clear about where you are, where you want to go, there's no way it can tell you the directions. But how often do we really take time to look at that? I don't think enough.
No, I think every morning, I think you should sit down and you should have goals. Every morning during my devotion time, I sit down and I always have a list. Sometimes my lists are longer and they don't get done, but I do number them. They should be numbered by not the most urgent, like you say, but the most important. What's going to cost you revenue? What's going to cost you people? What's going to cost you relationships? Even sometimes making sure you have to do an order. But you're right. If you don't write it down, or if you don't put it in a way that you can access your goals, how do you know? How do you measure it? So I'm with you 100%. Guys, that is such good business advice. And if you don't hear anything else, there are 3 things that I've heard so far that are so important for property managers. And a lot of us who've been in the business, and I'm guilty of this as well, we don't go back to the basics of what really we know works in our business: pictures and descriptions. How many of us have taken advantage of AI and run our descriptions of our homes, those through AI, and say, hey, I want it to be a little more like this or that. If not, you should pay someone to do that. It does a fabulous job, in my opinion, of doing that. So people who want to start a business, what's the best advice you would give to them? Someone who wants to start a short-term rental business?
First thing I would say, get started. And I say that because for most cases, what prevents people to start is just to start. It's overthinking, being afraid of failing, all these kind of things. So at some point, you just need to get it done. You just need to do it. Do one step. And it's not going to be perfect, and it's never going to be perfect anyway. So that's okay. Starting a business doesn't mean being perfect. It just means that you start something. It's like you just start and you just keep working at it, and again and again and again. The second thing I would say is clarify why you want to do it. Why? Because ultimately, like anything in life, if you're not clear about why you want to do it, you might miss the fuel. Your business is just a vehicle to bring you somewhere. But if you are unclear about what's the destination you want to reach, so what really you want to achieve, and you don't have a strong why that is literally the fuel to propulse you there on the days that is difficult, that will keep you waking up and working at it, it's not going to work. You're going to quit. And that's the biggest reason why people stop, is just because they quit. Why they quit? Because there's not enough why. The purpose is not strong enough.
It's a motivation.
Yeah, it's motivation. I'm cautious with the term motivation itself because it can be really just like intense energy or something like that. But I think the why is much deeper. It's like an infinite well of energy. It's not just, I'm popped up for 5 minutes and I'm motivated and I get it done. I think if you have a strong why that is catching you to your core, this is a fuel that can last for a very long time. It doesn't mean you will be happy and joyful every day, but it doesn't have to. Sometimes when it's very difficult, you just need to make one small step. That's it. And sometimes you need rest. That's fine too. At least I know I do.
This episode of the Vacation Rental Show is brought to you by Blue Tent. Blue Tent provides vacation rental pros with a powerhouse of services: direct booking optimization, strategic account management, email marketing, and channel management and distribution. All of your industry experts under one roof or inside one tent. Expand your digital footprint and turn browsers into local bookers at bluetent.com. I think that's the hardest part. In my opinion, one of the hardest parts about starting your own business and running it is realizing that the rest really allows you to focus on the things that you need personally. And if you don't do that, you have to at some point. You'll be not scheduling it and it will happen. You'll just have to have that rest. I remember the first time I took an 8-day vacation and my business did not fall down all around me. And everything did get done and people were taken care of. But I think that learning to trust the people that you work with and being able to delegate, otherwise you literally can't grow, right?
I agree. And I think it's a different phase of your business. I like that. One thing that I share about business is it's like your life, basically. It's a different stage of life, also for business. When you have a toddler business or an infant even, it's not time to delegate. It's too early. That's time to actually get it done. But you just have to do it. And as you grow, as you become a toddler, well, that's where you might bring a second person in the team. As you become maybe even before teenager, I don't remember exactly the name in English for even this phase of life, but let's say as a person, when you get closer to 5 or 10, that's where you definitely have more people around it, you have a little bit more revenue coming up. That's where you have to start to learn delegation. So basically in a team, 2 to 5, that's already your first layer of delegation. And you have to trust more people to do the job. Make sure you find the great people too. If you cannot trust the people, either they are not the right people, either you need to learn to let go of control. And then you have another phase beyond, let's say, maximum 10 people, where you need a second layer of delegation. So it means that the first people that came here needs to learn to delegate as well. And maybe they are not the right people to do that.
That's such a hard thing. I would love tips on that. One of the hardest things that I found in business is getting through that second layer of delegation where you've delegated. And I'm at a place with a nonprofit I'm working with, and I'm saying to the main person that I delegate to, I'm saying, you can't do this. You have to be able to delegate and find people to do that. And this is not your job. Your job is to find someone that can do that better than you and let them do that. And I'm going to say, admit defeat. I was very unsuccessful in the first business that I started in getting my most important manager to delegate. And it stunted the growth of my company. I couldn't bear to get rid of the employee. And things worked out eventually where I just hired and delegated for that person. But do you have any advice on property managers who are at that level of growth where, like, my niece is in charge of all of the managers in her company? That's her job now. She does a really good job of that. How do you help someone who will not delegate?
Something that really helped me is to understand 2 things. One, your journey as a business owner, entrepreneur, is different than the people that want to work with you. They might not have the same will for entrepreneurship, challenging themselves to grow, and all these kind of things. That's the thing. The second is to understand a set of profiles. Profiles are always subjective. There's always room for discussion around it. But the pattern is important. And you can categorize profile in 3 different ways. From the artists, that are the people that do the work. The managers, the people that coordinate, delegate, follow up. And the entrepreneurs, the persons that take risk, start, these kind of things. See the dream. The thing is that usually when you start, you have one of these strengths. And you kind of have to deal with the rest in some way. It's a bit brittle, But I would advise that the first people you bring in the team is to complement that. If you're an artist, well, it's maybe too early to get a manager, but if you are very conservative, you might want an entrepreneur. So somebody that challenges you and will start a bit more. If you're a manager, well, at some point you need an artist because you need somebody to do the work. And so you need to find that balance already kind of early. But it's rare to have too many managers too early. And when you grow 5 to 10, I mean, it's a problem. You will not get things done because everybody will discuss, but nothing happened. So you need artists to also get the work done. And entrepreneurs to kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect because the challenge of artists mostly is perfection. You want the craft to be perfect. So the entrepreneur will be more challenging this and let's say, no, we just need it. And we improve afterwards. It's a balance. It's a dance. All this is super important. I share another book, let's say, on similar aspects to that. So when you start, you will want quite a few artists very early on. But when you grow to this 5, 10, and you want to expand to the next layer of delegation, so for, let's say, 10 to 30, 10 to 50, well, that's where artists, I speak French again, suck at delegating. It's not their skills. And they are not in the role of being the business owner that want to challenge themselves to learn to become a manager. You might actually, and I've done that too many times, you might actually kill the motivation and desire of an artist by making them a manager. So at some point, you need to bring people that enjoy management and let the artists be artists.
I know the difference. Know the difference, guys, in your people. I have not been successful in making some of my best artists who've worked for many years and they're brilliant. I mean, they're just absolutely brilliant, but they're executors. They say they want to manage, but if you give them management, guys, and you find out that they are not delegating, that they're managing what they're managing, you have to make a step to help them in some way, shape, or form. I don't have the best advice there. What advice would you give people?
Find the right people for the job. And leveling up people where you need is not where it's always good. It's great to level up people. That's what they want. But sometimes it's just in the same craft. An artist becoming a manager might not be a level up, might be a step down for many people. So I'd say don't do that. If you need a manager, you might need to hire a manager and becomes learning about how to hire a manager because it's different than to hire an artist in many ways.
What's interesting to me about short-term rentals, people that work in short-term rentals, you actually can hire a manager to manage people that may not come from your industry. A lot of the managers that I see that are incredibly successful managing property management companies come from the finance industry. I'm just surprised to say that, but some of the best managers that I know of, they're just really good at managing. Now, not that they won't go out in the field and take care of something that has to be done. They will. But one of the best managers I know is simply an excellent manager, and he could manage any business. It's a skill set of people skill set, right?
100% with you. And that's where I think learning from different industries is so valuable because then you realize that there is many things that are similar in any business. There is a business layer that is whether you do short-term rentals, whether you do airlines or a shop or whatever that is, there's so much overlap. And yes, people in logistic can be really good managers as well. People dealing with freight. There's a skill set of having to coordinate many pieces, delegate, follow up, keep clear structure, understanding of cost of not delivering that can be very valuable for vacation rentals. And for some people, for some managers, it might be exciting to go and apply the skill in a different industry.
So tell me what is the one mistake that you've made in your career over your 14 businesses that you have founded, co-founded, been a part of? What's the number one mistake that you wish you knew now that you didn't know then?
There's been many mistakes, more mistakes than success for sure.
Always, and I think that's a really profound statement. I don't think you can be very successful unless you failed before because I don't think you have tried enough.
Yeah, and ongoing. Number one, I'd go back to learning. It's to not go to learn from the best expert I can find in what I'm looking to do, even if that's expensive. I mean, at this point, I have paid, I think the highest ticket per hour might have been $5,000 for an hour consulting or something like that. Totally worth it. I don't say every time it is. You have to make your due diligence. Yet, when you're able to have a person that have done this over and over again, that is able to look at your business from outside, like there's something for this person that collected that amount of experience and view that is just so obvious. If you just do it, and you have to make sure you do it, but if you just do it, the yield can be massive. And so the amount is quite irrelevant. For me, the question is, how much does that bring you back? What's your return? And the bigger your business becomes, the bigger your leverage is. If you optimize 10% of your revenue on your vacation rental business and you have one property, your property is a studio in the suburbs of a big city that earns 10,000 a year. Okay, your increase is 1,000. That's nice. If it's a very large property that is in a beautiful area that's return 1 million a year, well, that's 100K. That's not the same yield. How much are you willing to invest for optimizing that? Now, if you have 100 of such properties, it increases again. So for me, it's very important to now more and more, I'm not even questioning. I'm looking at, okay, who is the best expert I can get my hands on and just pay for that shortcut because I don't know anything more efficient than that.
I agree. I think that's very, very good advice.
And the mistake is not doing this.
Yeah, we can't ever stop learning. Let me ask you something else. We talked at the beginning, and I just wanted to give you time to follow up with this. You were talking about two simple things that people could do. You were talking about photo order being important.
Well, photos first, like even improve quality of photos. Even before the order, just clean up the photos and then the order for sure.
So talk to me about photo order. And the reason I ask is because when I was doing websites and things like that for properties, I would make sure there was an outside photo first. But I see the funkiest things nowadays. And maybe it is that people really want to see that lifestyle photo first. What do you think?
I think it depends who is your ideal customer. If you have an audience that is looking for a unique home, they want a unique experience, one in a lifetime, and you show them a standard room, no interest, even no matter how beautiful that is. If you show them the uniqueness of that property right on, yes. So you have to catch what people are looking for. If you have people that are looking for something that is extremely safe, like the people that will always go to the same brand of hotel, it's not the best, but they just know what they're going to get because what they care is control and certainty. You want to deliver that certainty. So you cannot speak to everybody the same way. So I don't think there is a universal formula. And that's why I'm so glad we have AI now that is able to analyze so much data and go at the psychology of your customer to understand what actually matters to them. So you can display something else. Like if you're a couple coming for a honeymoon, you might not show the same photos that it's a multi-generational family.
For sure not. We'd show them the picture of the hot tub with the wine overlooking the water. That's what we're going to show them. We're going to show them the bedroom with the beautiful bed and all the amenities in there. 100%. You're right. And that hasn't been possible before. AI has opened up a world.
It's fascinating for me to see how much our businesses are going to change thanks or because of AI. The one thing I know for fact, or at least I'm so convinced about, and I will quote somebody that I learned this from, which is Peter Diamandis, which is I will quote him, which is by 2030, there will be only two types of businesses. The ones that fully adopted AI and the ones that are out of business.
Yeah, I believe that. I truly think you're right. It's such an exponential kind of thing. For instance, I don't care what kind of business you're in, guys. You think about this, the automation that is possible with AI, the ability to automate processes by looking at them and changing things. If we're not using that even today in our property management for replying to guests, okay, or communicating with them, right now, AI is not everything it's going to be. We already know that. But if we're not using it to optimize our communication with our guests, whether it's the listing or whether it's the emails we send, I'm shocked that there are people that are still not using that because it is incredibly powerful, very fast, and you should be thinking about how you can automate processes in your business to make it more efficient. We're not talking about trying to fire people and save overhead, because I think that it can help you grow. And you'll probably need those people. So I'm not trying to get rid of your people. I'm trying to say that I think there are really important things that we can do today that we didn't have 2 years ago.
There's one concept that we have for us, which is, I think, a good practice to keep, is to understand what is safe to fail. So there is things you can try, and if it breaks, that's okay. If we release a post on Instagram or LinkedIn and it's not perfect, that's fine. There's low harm. We should be careful there is no false claims, but that's basically about it. If the sentence structure is not perfect, it's fine. We can iterate. Now, we also do a lot with fintech. I speak a bit more about what we can do with AI, but actually, our third innovation is in fintech, and I will maybe share a bit more if you like. But in fintech, it means that we have a banking license. We process hundreds of millions per year of bookings flow and so on. When we touch at this, we cannot fail. So when we bring AI to help us with this kind of tools, the amount of review that is necessary is greater. And that's very important to assess when we deploy this kind of technology, which is safe to fail and which is not, which needs to be 100% reliable from day one because the risk is too great. At Amazon, they have this concept of revolving doors. You can go in and out easily. You make this decision fast, and you have some, it's a one-way door. If you went through, you cannot come back. Same thing. If that decision is a one-way door, take the time to think. Make sure that it's proper. And it's the same, I think, with these tools. It's just small principles. When you use them, you realize that here you can go and try many stuff and see what works. And some things, okay, you need to be more cautious.
So is there anything else you'd like to tell property managers that are listening?
Using AI is a must. Learning is a must. Getting clear about why you do it. I think that's very important to not lose touch with this.
So if people want to get in touch with you, how would they reach you?
If they want to get in touch with me personally, LinkedIn might be the best. So Sébastien Grosjean on LinkedIn.
And I'm going to spell his last name for you guys. Grosjean, Grosjean.
Thank you for the opportunity and the questions. Appreciate it.
This episode of the Vacation Rental Show was brought to you by Blue Tent. To find out more about how Blue Tent can help grow your vacation rental business, visit bluetent.com. Make sure to search for the Vacation Rental Show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, or anywhere else podcasts are found, and hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. On behalf of the team here at Inhabit, thanks for listening.